Before we get into this next guest, we wanted to give a huge thank you to all of our guests, listeners, and advertisers for all of your support. Please spread the Built World love by leaving us a review, follow us on Instagram and LinkedIn, and subscribe to the show. We drop a new episode every Tuesday and plan to keep them coming. This next episode is brought to you by Bureau, our title sponsor. With 8 vibrant locations in Miami's best neighborhoods, Bureau is the perfect co-working place to work, network, and thrive alongside other entrepreneurs and creatives. Find your space at bureaumiami.com. Let's go.
Yeah, thanks, Scott, for coming. Seriously.
Hey, cheers, guys. Oh, yeah. Thanks for having me on.
We had a big tasting day. Yeah.
Scott came through with a whole thing of wings and a bunch of hot sauce. We're doing a little hot ones episode today with Scott.
Yeah. How did you get into these hot sauces, Scott?
I don't really know how I started. I just started liking hot sauces and started trying every one I could see. And every time we would travel and I saw like a new hot sauce somewhere, I'd buy it.
Uh-huh.
And then next thing you know, I've got like 50, 60 hot sauces at home. And so now it's like, I just kind of know, and like I have different hot sauces depending on what type of food I'm eating. And I don't know. I've just gotten into it. So,
is there like a hot sauce som class you can get into? Because this is like next level here.
No, not that I'm aware of. Maybe we should start one.
What's your favorite hot sauce?
We should start with one here. Which one should we start with?
Yeah, I mean, it depends. This is actually the what's going to be fun about this is I actually went and picked out a bunch of hot sauces that I've never had either. So,
cool.
So we're going to be all trying them for the first time.
Any of these catch your eye that you want to start with? I got Buenos Nachos, Indian Spice, San Diego, the Crazy Spicy Shark. This is the extreme one.
I think save that one for last.
All right.
Aside from that, I'd say you guys pick whatever strikes your fancy.
This pineapple guava sounds interesting.
I want this smoke one.
Do it.
Buenos Nachos hot sauce.
What are you going to go with, Scott?
I think we should all try the same one at the same time.
Cool. Let's do it.
We'll pass this around.
And we got some wings too. Where are the wings from, by the way?
Yeah, so the wings, there's a good story behind this. So the wings are from an Italian restaurant up in Hollywood and soon to be in Dania Beach on my property from Antonio's Pizza. Great family-run Italian restaurant. So shout out to Antonio's Pizza. Thanks for the wings. I was just having lunch with them before this, and I told them what my plan was, and they were like, "Well, we got your wings covered."
So they're in Hollywood, you said?
They're in Hollywood now.
And you were familiar with them, and now they're opening a second location at one of your properties.
Yes, exactly.
And where in Dania Beach?
So it's right on Dania Beach and Federal.
Okay.
It's in the bottom of the Celeste Dania project that estate company's developed. So we own the retail condo there, and they're in the process of getting their permit and building out.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
I like the Buenos Nachos. That's fire.
You tried it? Yeah.
Any smoke, I'm in. Any smoke flavor.
So I like the smoky ones too. I'm a fan.
I'm a big like the Chipotle Tabasco is like my go-to at home. I got that the Chipotle Tabasco on deck.
Yeah. That's an amateur one though.
Is it?
We gotta
up the level.
Yeah.
That's right, amateur. That's what he just called you, Ben. That's delicious.
Yeah. This is a good starter. It's not too hot, right? So you're not.
So what's your go-to hot sauce though? If you had like one hot sauce that you needed to go with.
Ooh, that's tough. I mean, like I said, it really varies on what I want. So I'll tell you, there's one hot sauce I like. It's more for like steaks and meats because it's almost like a hot sauce, but like a barbecue sauce field. It's from Maine. It's called Chad's Obsession, and it's a hot sauce you only can find in Maine. You can order it online, but I discovered it up there, and I started ordering it by the case.
What was it called?
Chad's Obsession.
Chad's Obsession. All right, let's take some notes here.
Yeah, shout out to Chad in Maine. Cool. Well, Scott, welcome to the podcast. We hear you're a fan too. You were listening to us before we invited you, so we're pretty excited to hear that.
You're an OG Builty.
Yeah.
When did you start listening? Do you remember?
And how'd you come across the podcast?
Yeah, better yet, tell us how to market better, because
I don't remember how I came across it, but I always am looking for interesting podcasts, and I'm in my car a lot. I drive. We have a bunch of property over on the West Coast in Tampa, St. Pete. So whenever I drive over there, I like to find some good podcasts and just kill the time. And I don't know. Somehow I started listening to you guys, and you've had some great guests on it. I find you guys very, a fun listen, good conversationalist. And so, Yeah, it was great when you guys invited me out. I was super excited to come.
Cool. What other podcasts do you like to listen to, by the way?
I like.
We're gonna give him free press on this here.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, I mean, All In Podcast is probably one of the top ones I like to listen to.
Yeah.
You guys are great.
You
Yeah,
can listen to
same.
that one too.
Another one that's not business that I think is fun if you haven't listened to it is the OGs. Do you know about that?
Is that the one with
Udonis Haslam and Mike Miller?
Yeah, I'd love to get Udonis on here. He's got such a great story, that guy.
And he's an OG Miami.
He's the OG. I met him once. I
yeah.
met him a couple of times. He's awesome.
Yeah, he's the man. So
Yeah.
so their podcast is great. too.
Yeah.
And there's a new one with Shane Battier called Glue Guys. It's
Yeah.
it's Alex Smith, Shane Battier, and I forget there's a third guy. It's pretty good.
Why glue guys?
I think they're talking about like they were like the glue guys for their teams. Like they were kind of like that, the soul guy. I
Yeah.
don't know. So that's
I
just
like
what they
that.
call it. But yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
So you're a native Floridian.
Well, hold on. Let's back this up. We got to make a proper introduction here, right?
Okay. I was diving in.
So we're here with Scott Sherman, founder of Torose Equities. Did I pronounce it correctly?
Yeah, there's Torose Equities. However, there's no perfect pronunciation. I made up the word, but
So how did you come up with that?
it's hard to come up with a name these days, especially
Yeah.
a unique name. So Toro is bull. I'm a Taurus. I like the bull as like an emblem, which is hence our logo. And then it was like bull and rose. Bull and rose go together. So Toro and Rose, Toros. My daughter's middle name is Rose, so it just kind of worked.
Okay, cool. How many kids you got?
I have 3.
Okay, how old?
10 on Monday, 7, and then I have a 1.5-year-old.
Oh, wow. You're in the heat of battle right now.
Hell yeah.
Thanks for making the time and having a cocktail with us on a Thursday afternoon.
Yeah.
I hope your wife doesn't know you're out here having a cocktail on a Thursday.
Well, it's all good. Right after this, I have to go pick up my son and take him to his basketball game. So,
Be one of those like nasty parents, like, come on.
No, I always thought I would be, but I'm actually a lot more chill than I thought I would be with the game. So I hope I stay that way. I don't want to become one of those parents.
Yeah.
Just spiking drinks courtside.
We my son's on a soccer team too, and like their parents actually like drink on the sidelines. It's like, what are you doing? This is like, your kids are 10, 11, 12. Like, stop taking life so seriously. Like, they're not going to be professional athletes. Well, cool. So thanks for joining us, Scott. We're excited to talk to you. So we know you're a Florida boy, but with a New York accent. So your parents are from New York. I think your mom is from Long Island, and your dad is from the city, or do I have it the other way around?
My dad's from Newark, New Jersey.
Oh, Newark. Yeah. Okay. Newark's a tough neighborhood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My dad's rough and tough.
Yeah. So, and your mom's from Strong Island. What part of Long Island?
Plainview.
Okay. But you were born and raised down here.
Yep.
Plantation boy.
Exactly.
Yeah. Growing up in the burbs.
I through and through. But
High school?
High school, South Plantation High.
Okay. So all public school.
Yep.
All right. We like that product of public schools.
Yeah.
OG. Yeah.
What were you? Did you have any subjects in high school that you were into more than others?
In high school, so my favorite class was a class called DECA. I don't know if you guys know what DECA is. So it was like a business class in high school, and you like learned about like writing business plans, and they had these competitions, and so you can go to like state competitions and national competitions. You get like trips out of it, and so like me and 3 other guys, we actually had we were on what's called the Quiz Bowl team. And they basically would like ask you business questions. And it was like, the buzzer style things.
That's
and,
awesome.
And we ended up going all the way and becoming national champions. So that was kind of a fun.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
It sounds like the cool version of debate. That's
Yeah, it was kind of like the counter to debate in a way. Like a lot of my friends were in debate and I was like the DECA guy, but like we kind of owned this Quiz Bowl thing and we just kind of, we went to nationals like 3 years in a row. We only won it once, but
that's sick.
It was cool.
So you were into business from an early age.
Yeah, I was always, numbers and business was always.
Were you writing business plans in this DECA thing too, or no?
Yeah, I came up with I wrote a business plan one year to open up a golf store. I was into golf and I was on the high school golf team. And
Oh, I was as well.
yeah, I had this great idea. I was going to buy all this, make this crazy. It was a terrible business plan, but at the
Yeah.
time it seemed like a great idea.
Yeah, but going through that process at that age, it's so good, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's you learn so much from that. And in most high schools, you don't learn something like that. Like it's the fundamentals of finance and writing a business plan and a marketing plan. Like you don't really learn that. I mean, unless you're taking an entrepreneurship class in college, right? Like you don't really have the exposure to that early on.
Exactly.
So how old were you when you wrote your first business plan?
I guess I was probably 16.
Okay.
Yeah.
And were your parents in real estate?
No, my dad's an accountant. And my mom was a kindergarten teacher, and then she was actually the principal at that school for a few years.
Okay.
And so yeah, I'm not really. My family was not in the real estate world.
But your dad was accountant, and you're a CPA as well. Yeah. And how about sports in high school?
Yeah, so golf. I also played soccer, and I played water polo.
Okay. Wow. Water polo is no joke, dude.
No, that was the hardest sport I ever played.
That's like one of the hardest sports out there.
Yeah.
Like it's unbelievably violent.
You're just drowning half the time.
Well, you're drowning. You're just kicking people all the time, like knee or elbows to the face, right? Like it's people don't understand how hardcore that sport is.
Yeah, I'll tell you, like I was never into swimming or anything. And then I guess in my junior year, I had a few friends that were swimmers that were on the team. And I was, I was in much better shape than I am now. And I was, they were like, you should come on the water polo team, come try out, come do it. I'm like, yeah, whatever. So I finally go. I go to the tryouts the first day. This is like my junior year. And I just, I was just playing soccer. I was in great shape, all this stuff. I remember the first day of practice, I have this like swimming laps and treading water. I thought I was going to drown. I mean, it was so hard. And then it was like a challenge. So then I got into it.
Felipe, ever since we moved into Bureau, my productivity has been through the roof. I mean, I might actually be getting things done for once.
The energy at Bureau just makes work fun. Plus, with 8 locations across South Florida, from South Miami all the way to Hollywood, there's no excuse for not finding a spot to get your shit done, Ben.
And we're not alone. Over 500 local companies call Bureau home. Everything from creative agencies and real estate firms to tech startups, law firms, and media companies. It's a melting pot of brilliant people, and we don't include ourselves in that category.
We definitely don't include ourselves in that category. Bureau really has space for anyone, whether you're flying solo or have a team. There are suites starting at 100 square feet all the way up to 2,000 square feet. They also don't try to lock you into long-term agreements, and everything is month to month.
Let's not forget the important stuff either. The coffee is top tier, staff is incredible, and has a very entrepreneurial vibe. It's not just a workspace. It's a place where work actually gets done.
That's right, Ben. So if you want to level up your workday like we try to do every day, check out Bureau. You might even catch us sipping some espressos between podcast sessions.
Or tequila.
Definitely tequila.
Tell Bureau the Built World sent you, and you'll get 50% off your first month's membership. See you out there. Cheers.
Later.
And then I played the last 2 years of high school, and it was a lot of fun. But I was like the guy, because I wasn't the fastest swimmer. I wasn't a swimmer, but I was always the guy they put on their best player. And I was like the guy, because you're in the water, so you can kind of be a little dirty, like you're saying, like you like punch the guys in the ribs and like, whatever. And so like I was kind of the guy harassing.
You were the dirty player, huh?
I was a dirty guy.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, it was interesting. I had some interesting encounters.
Is water polo big in Florida?
Yeah, I mean,
It should be. I'd never really heard of it before. My college roommate played in California, in Calabasas, but that was the first time I'd ever really heard of it.
I think like Ransom has like, I think a really good team. Yeah.
I guess it's just one of those sports that's like not that fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, if you know
There's
the
no like
sport,
spectator like.
it's kind of like hockey meets soccer in the water. I don't
Yeah.
know really how to explain like
Yeah.
the sport, but it's actually pretty fun.
That's gnarly. The
Yeah.
challenge is don't die.
No. And you have to wear multiple Speedos because they can get ripped off while you're swimming.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, it's like a whole thing.
Oh, shit. Wow, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Now Felipe's interested.
Yeah. Let's rip as many Speedos off as possible, right? So cool. So in terms of going back to Ben's question, classes that you were interested in, you did what was the name of the class that you did?
It was called DECA.
DECA.
Yeah.
Any other interest in any other classes that you did well in?
I mean,
Were you a good student?
I was a good student.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at you.
So I mean, I was, I wasn't like, I was definitely more of a math student, but
Yeah.
I did it all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you have any businesses in high school where you started anything? DECA, you were kind of in there. Did you guys ever actually try to like monetize any of these ideas?
Yeah. Any jobs during high school too?
So businesses, I mean, I remember in middle, like I never really had a business, but like in like middle school was probably my first business, which is when like Pogs were really hot.
Oh, I love Pogs.
So like I found like a spot where I could get really good price, good like cheap Pogs and slammers. And
You had
I
the
was,
Pog plug.
and then I was a guy.
I'm sorry. What are Pogs?
He's too old.
Oh wow.
I'm
Okay.
an old school. I'm old. I'm
All
old.
right. You want to take this one?
Pogs were they milk caps? Where did they come from?
I don't know. They're just like little cardboard circular
Yeah.
things.
And I don't even know what you did with them. You collected them, then you had like the slammers.
It's kind of like gambling. Like you take the slammer, you have to bang them, and then whoever like knocked them over got to keep them. You don't know any of this. Huh?
No, I don't. This is before my time.
This is like 93, right? This is like
after my time,
I was-
actually.
Yeah, it was definitely like
early 90s.
6th, 7th grade for me.
Yeah.
So yeah. So anyways, we'll have to show you some videos of what they are. But I found basically a way to buy them wholesale, and then I was just selling them to all the kids in school and making some money, and that was like my first like little business,
The Pog Fund.
side hustle. Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah,
And did you do anything else in high school? Did you have any other jobs?
yeah. Well, so I guess my first real job, I worked at the Gap in the Broward Mall.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Slang and retail.
I was just folding shirts all day.
That's awesome.
I'm actually a great shirt folder.
I bet you are.
I am.
That's what your wife has you folding laundry at
she
home.
does.
I love it.
Yeah, I'm a good folder.
I would keep that to myself. I'd be like, no, I'm terrible. No, don't. So were you so high school, then college? Did you stay in Florida?
Yeah, I went to University of Florida.
UF business major, right?
I was an accounting major.
Accounting major. Okay.
You wanted to follow in Dad's footsteps, or
You know,
or you didn't know?
I didn't. I knew I was strong in math, and the accounting school UF is like, of all the business tracks you could take, it was like known to be the best and the hardest. So it was like a challenge, and they had a 5-year master's joint degree program. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to do that. I knew it was a good foundation for anything I wanted to do. Didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, but I just kind of chose that as the path. And
So you ended up getting your master's degree as well.
yeah, I did. It was a joint degree program.
Oh, that's cool. Any sports in college at all?
No, I mean just like intramurals.
Intramural?
Yeah.
Fraternity boy?
I short-lived because right after basically I went through all the pledging, all the fun stuff,
Yeah.
we got kicked off campus.
Okay.
And the frat I joined just came back on campus. So they were like on semi-probation. So like, then there was some hazing incident. I was yes. And
You're one of the reasons why they got kicked off. Okay, that's good. We like that.
and yeah, so then we got what they call the death sentence, where they kick you off for 5 years. So that was it. But so it was, I got a flavor of it, and then a bunch of guys actually from my pledge class, because we were just through it, ended up going to other frats, and I was like, I'm not doing this again. I'm good. I did.
You got enough. You got your taste.
You got hazed enough, huh?
Yeah.
It's kind of cool. Anyway, you're just like, yeah, well, I was in one and we got the death sentence. So, I'm out here solo now. And then you went to New York after college.
Yeah. Went right to New York. That was always like my plan, right? I was like, I got to cut my teeth in New York.
Did you work at all in college?
No, I didn't.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like it was a pretty heavy workload there too, if you're getting your master's degree as well.
Yeah, it was definitely, I wouldn't say it was easy, but it was definitely, I still found time to have some fun.
Yeah.
UF was a
Okay.
great time, but no, we worked hard. I didn't have a job in college.
All right.
And why always New York? You just thought you want to get to the big city?
Yeah, look,
Get that experience.
I think the dynamics changed recently, probably since COVID. But I think before that, if you were like, you want to hustle, make money in business and finance, like it was New York. Like that was really where you had to go.
Still is. Yeah, I think it still is.
But I feel like today, there's other places. Like it's not only New York. I feel like, at least in my mind, when I was in college, like that was it. Like you had to go to New York, and so that was always my like plan.
But even today, I mean, I listened to another podcast, and it's a little, it annoys me a little bit. But Scott Galloway, he's a professor at NYU, and he said the same thing. Like if you're young, like, and you're just starting your career, New York is this place. It's like, it's second to none. Like even San Francisco, like New York is still the place. Where else would you see a young person going to that's hungry like you are today?
No, I agree. I think I did a decade in New York in my 20s. It was the best experience. I would never give that up, and I would recommend it, because I think you're right. There's a hustle and there's a work ethic associated with like, cranking in New York, and you work hard hours, but everyone does. Everyone works hard and plays hard, and I think you're right. Like when I moved back from New York to Miami, I felt like I was running circles around a lot of people, because there's just people didn't kind of grind the same way.
You were operating at a different speed.
Yeah.
Wait, so what'd you go to New York? Did you got a job when you went there, or did you just go and figure it out after?
So because I was in the accounting school, was like ranked, I think, 4 in the country. So it was like a really, really good program. And so all the big accounting firms like basically recruit all the graduates from this school. And so I was getting like, it was great. When I was, a junior in college, I was getting like wined and dined, taken out to steak dinners by like the Deloittes and the Ernst Youngs and the PwCs and all those kinds of firms. And
you felt like a first round draft pick.
yeah, it was fun. So I had multiple offers, but most of the recruiting, because it's regionally, was all recruiting for Atlanta South, so the Southeast region. So everyone was trying to hire, an accounting position for Atlanta or for Miami or Jacksonville or whatever, right? So I had no interest. I wanted to go to New York. I also, by that point, I I realized I really like real estate, and I was really interested in kind of getting into real estate. And so,
What initially sparked your interest in real estate?
just going through business, to me, I was always fascinated by just like, as a consumer, like businesses, retail centers, and just kind of, you're touching it. It's like, it's the only tangible kind of world of like business in my mind, right? Because you can actually like see, feel, touch, versus just investing in a company or buying equities or bonds. So I don't know, I always found it very interesting. So when I started when I started the grad program, which was kind of like my sophomore, junior year, I started taking the grad classes. You could take electives. So I actually got special permission to take real estate classes from the real estate program. So I was taking, instead of like taking like tennis, I was taking like real estate law and like things like that, just because I wanted to learn more about it. And so the more I took, the more I was like, I want to do this. So as I was getting kind of wined and dined, I found, I was telling everyone I only want to go to New York. I want to go to New York. And some of the firms were like, yeah, well, we're not recruiting for New York. We're recruiting for here. And then I found there was an real estate advisory group in Ernst Young in New York. It wasn't a big group, but they do like transactional advisory with all the big funds. Their clients were like Blackstone and, all the REITs, and they did more like valuation and advisory type work. So it was within the accounting like umbrella, but it was more kind of consulting. So I found this program, and Ernst Young was like recruiting me, and I said, guys, look, I only want to go into this group. Can you get me an interview? So they did. So they flew me up to New York. I interviewed with their team, and I got the job, and that was kind of how it all played out.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And so just backing it up, because you met your now wife at UF, and then you guys went up to New York together?
Well, together but separate. So yeah, we didn't move in together. We actually lived on the same block in Manhattan, but buildings next to each other. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Where in Manhattan did you move to? Like,
I was on 34th and 3rd, so Murray Hill.
oh wow,
Yeah.
got the full experience.
Yeah, it was fun.
That's awesome. How long were you up there?
10 years.
Damn.
So you were at Ernst Young for how long?
I was only at Ernst Young for about 2. Yeah, I was like, I did my time. It was a great background and foundation, but it's not the most glamorous job. I also, because I wanted to get my CPA.
Were you working like crazy hours there?
Yeah.
How many hours a week were you working there?
I'd say I was probably averaging, I want to say maybe 70 hours.
Yeah.
But I was also, because I got my master's of accounting, I took the CPA exam, I passed it. So I was like, at that point, I got to get my CPA license just to have. I never wanted to be a CPA, but I was like, might as well just do it. So you had to do audit hours. So I had to rotate into the audit group, the real estate audit group, for like 3 months, 4 months, and basically grind in the audit, which is not glamorous work, but I had to kind of just do that to get the hours. So then once I kind of got all those hours, I got my CPA license, and I was like, you know what, time to move on, and started looking for other opportunities.
Ben, you know what they say in real estate, if people don't know you, they're not doing business with you.
Exactly. That's why the Built World podcast works with top of mind public relations, because being a best kept secret sure doesn't pay the bills.
Paula Uspa Abbott, the brains behind Top of Mind PR, is a former real estate journalist, so she knows exactly what makes the media pay attention.
And let's be real, getting in the press isn't just about bragging rights. It's about building credibility, landing deals, and making sure the right people know your name.
Whether it's top-tier media coverage, killer storytelling, or just making sure you're the one people think of first, Top of Mind PR has you covered.
Want to stand out? Hit up topofmind-pr.com or email info@topofmind-pr.com.
Because in real estate, if you're not visible, you're invisible. And so, go ahead, Ben.
That's when you went to Becker Brothers.
Exactly.
And how'd you find Becker? Were they advertising for it? Was it like, how'd you connect with them?
And tell us a little bit about Becker. What are they?
Yeah, so Becker Brothers is a family office. It's 2 brothers, obviously, and they were kind of just a boutique family office. And I came from a big corporate kind of job, and I kind of was like, look, I want to get onto the deal side of real estate, but I'd rather try to go to a smaller shop where I can see, feel, do a lot more, and just kind of get a better experience than just being siloed into one thing. And so I was looking for a little while, and there was actually another company that I was going down the road with, and I actually had a job offer on the table, and these guys were super impressive, both like Wharton Penn guys. They actually at the time, I think they owned Chelsea Market in New York City. Like these guys have already made hundreds of millions of dollars probably at that time, and super impressive guys. And I had this offer, and then I guess it was like maybe like I got the offer on like a Tuesday, and then like on a Wednesday I get a call from a recruiter, and the recruiter's like, listen, there's this family office, these guys, the Becker brothers, they're looking to hire someone. I think you'd be perfect for it. I want to say an interview. I said, well, listen, I appreciate it, but I have this offer on the table that I'm likely going to take. So I don't want to like waste their time. She calls me back. She's like, listen, they'll come meet you tomorrow. Can you go into their office tomorrow?
It's so awesome, right? It's so funny. Like when you play like sort of hard to get, like, I'm off the market. Like they just come at you harder. Yeah. They're like, no, we're gonna come after you.
It's just, it really is funny in life how things play out because like, so I'm like, fine. So I had nothing to lose, right? So I go in, I meet with them. I didn't know, I did my research, but I didn't know much about them. I just had to learn. But I meet with them and I had a great meeting with them. The vibe, the energy, they're young. This was 2007. Yeah. And so, they were young, they were still hungry, trying to like build their empire, right? So like I could see they wanted to do more. They had a lot more kind of hunger. And we had a good meeting, but in the meeting I said, guys, listen, I got to be honest. I got this offer on the table, like if you don't make me an offer, like I didn't say it like that, but I was pretty much like, if I don't get an offer by like tomorrow, I'm probably gonna take the other offer. So like, I know it's kind of tight. I don't want to put pressure on you, but that's kind of just, I'm laying my cards on the table. So they called me the next day, made me an offer. And then I had a decision over the weekend and my gut was go with these guys. I liked the energy. I wanted to do a lot of deals. And I just felt like the other guys were super impressive, but probably didn't need to do another deal, right? They'd be just fine if they never did anything. Whereas these guys want their deals. I was like, I'm at that point where I want to learn.
You were more, the other guys were more like asset management, and this was, I'm going to go after and chase new deals.
Yeah. I think like the other guys pitched it as both, but it was probably going to be more asset management, So yeah, so I ended up that quickly, I think by like Saturday I called and took the offer of Becker Brothers. So that was how it all played out. Yeah.
And so how long were you with Becker for?
About, I guess, 3 years.
And what were you doing over there?
I was basically doing everything. So I was looking at new deals. I was doing asset management. I was doing property management, negotiating leases, dealing with tenant issues. So I was really kind of seeing all aspects of the business, which was such a great learning experience for me.
What did they have in their portfolio? What were the deals that you were working on?
I say it was a mix. There was some multifamily. They owned a bunch of apartments in Baltimore. So I spent a bunch of time in Baltimore. They owned a bunch of parking garages and parking lots, which is also an interesting business I learned. They had some boutique office buildings and then some retail centers. So they kind of had a little bit of everything. And it was all kind of like more small scale suburban stuff, but it was, they were looking and doing, and it was a fun experience.
And you were able to do a lot of deals with them?
Yeah, we did a bunch, but obviously, look, I joined them kind of going into, the great financial crisis. So I also got to see early on kind of like when things start to turn and go bad and, help work through some things, see some of the stresses and pressures of kind of dealing with some of these downturns.
Were you guys able to take advantage of that? Were you able to buy any non-performing stuff or?
Well, I'd say like really the opportunities to take advantage of it really started coming probably more closer to like 2010, which is when I transitioned out. I went over, that's when I would join Thor. So I really didn't, at Becker Brothers, it really wasn't until like kind of my next role that I started to really kind of capitalize on that situation.
And what made you jump to Thor?
Yeah, I think it was just, the family office was, kind of like, I would say, playing more defense than offense. And, I saw, I was kind of, it was
they got rocked, yeah.
And they were just like, no, look, I still to this day am very close to them. I love those guys. We talk all the time. I consider them family. But, even they said to me like, Scott, look, we're obviously not going to be very active right now. So we understand if you want to start looking for a new opportunity, like you have our blessing. So, I was kind of softly out there. It wasn't like everyone was hiring in 2010. It wasn't a great market. And so I don't even remember how this happened, but again, kind of like happenstance. I must have just, there's like those online like select leaders and stuff where you just submit you can just like push a button and your resume gets submitted, which is, I also do a lot of like mentoring now of college students, and it's exactly what I tell them not to do. Like you see a job, like figure out how to get to them, find a network to get your foot in the door. And I just kind of like was like blindly submitting resumes. And then I just randomly got a call and then they're like, hey, can you come in for an interview?
Let's just go back to that real quick, because I think this is really important, especially for like younger people that are looking for jobs, right? Like where you're just like firing off resumes on LinkedIn, right? Like rather than just doing that, like find out who the hiring manager is or finding someone, in that company and reaching out to them directly. I mean, that's the best way to do it.
100%. And like I tell everyone I talk to, like from the people that work with me to like I said, like I'm on the UF Real Estate Advisory Board and the University of Miami board, which I know we're on, but I always tell the students I talk to, like, build your network and use the network of the people you know. So I'm like, look, I'm your mentor. If you're trying to get your foot in the door with XYZ company, shoot me an email, call me. Scott, do you know anyone at this company? If I do, I'm happy to make that warm intro. That warm intro will at least likely get your resume read, whereas you're in a stack, right? So there's no guarantees, but you always got to try to do more than just submit your resume.
Yeah, if you see a job opening at a company, like try to triangulate that. Who's connected to that company? Who's
Exactly.
and get in the back door, because everyone's trying to get in the front door. You got to separate yourself from the rest.
And by the way, you mentioned LinkedIn, right? That's a great tool. We didn't have that tool when, back then. LinkedIn didn't exist when I was looking for jobs back then. So, there's so much more, there's so many more tools now at your disposal to take advantage of that.
A lot more noise too, though, with that. But yeah, that's a great advice.
So you, so I was going back. So
Thor,
exactly. How did you get in there?
Yeah, so I blindly submit my resume to something.
Don't do what Scott does.
And I got a call. By the way, they called me and I was like, did I apply for a job there? Like I didn't even remember. Like that's how
Thor who?
But let's just say like things happen for a reason. Like, and so it was great. So I got in and then I had to go through, it was not an easy process. Probably went through 5 rounds of interviews and I got the job. So and that was.
And you started there as, what was the position? What was your title there?
I was I guess a real estate associate.
Okay, so you're this is like year 5 in New York City, right?
Yeah, around year 5, and it really, I mean, that to me, my experience at Thor, really, I think I'll credit to kind of getting me to the level where I am today. It was an incredible experience.
So tell us a little bit about Thor. What are they all about?
I mean, well, Joe's a visionary. He's just like, how to explain Joe? He's super smart and he's everywhere, right?
How old is Joe?
I know, I'm afraid to guess because he's gonna get mad at me if I guess too high. I'd say maybe he's probably close to 60. Let's leave it at that, Joe. If you're listening, but no. So he's just like, he's really good at looking at data, macro things, and just kind of formulating a strategy and saying, this is what we're doing, right? Like. And then he'll just go all in on whatever that is. And like, if you look at Joe over the years, right? Like when I was there, it was a lot of high street retail and mixed use office type stuff, which is really what I still like and focus on. But, Joe's maneuvered, right? Like, he then saw a life science angle, started going on life science. Then he, saw an industrial thing and he's going into industrial. He's also like, I see an opportunity in Europe. Next thing you know, we've got a Europe office. So he's just very macro, and it's impressive how he kind of is able to just.
So he's got an investment thesis and he just goes after that whenever he sees the timing in the market is correct.
Yeah, he does. And he's very good at kind of, navigating and shifting and kind of,
seeing what the trend is, what the next trend is.
And getting smart on it quickly, right? And maybe that is just going out and hiring the best person you could possibly find in that space, right?
Yeah.
And that's what he's good at. So
when you were there though, you were going after Main Street, mixed use retail. Yeah, and that's where you've kind of still gravitate towards.
Exactly. So I always find that interesting, and I think it's still a good opportunity in play. I think, look, in growth markets, especially like down here, it's played out. But you've seen look, New York Fifth Avenue's gone through a few waves, Soho's gone through a few waves, but comes back. Lincoln Road's kind of going through that right now as well. So that high street retail's always been interesting. But even going beyond that to emerging neighborhoods and cities and looking at retail in there. And then obviously the office plays a little bit different kind of over the last 5 years. But yeah, I think it was a great place to be because we were active. We're doing a lot of transactions. We were seeing and doing a lot, and just was a great experience.
What were you doing there, like specifically? Were you identifying deals? Were you just underwriting? Were you doing a little bit of everything? What was under your purview on the day to day?
Yeah, so I mean, I was, I guess I kind of progressed, but at the beginning I was doing more underwriting. But then I'd say probably by year 2, I always had, the hunger to start. I want to be a hunter, not just a guy in the office doing the underwriting. But obviously having that understanding is great. So I started kind of you got to kind of earn Joe's trust and prove. So I started trying to, when I had some time.
How many people worked at Thor's at the time?
I mean, the company was probably 70 people, but the deal team was really 5, right? And so we were lean and worked very closely with Joe. I mean, every day he's very hands-on with the acquisition side. So, yeah, I just started trying to find some deals on my own, and kind of when going to acquisition meetings, I would try to just pitch them, even though they were, he was, the was kind of looking at me like, who are you? Why is this guy pitching me a deal? But then after a while, you earn his respect. And then I just kind of evolved into being a deal guy and kind of own some markets. I told him I'm from Florida. Let me focus on building out our Florida portfolio, and then just kind of ran with it.
What deals did you do in Florida with Thor?
So we did a few deals on Lincoln Road. We did 663 to 667 Lincoln. We did 605 Lincoln. Those are and then we actually had the All Saints building on Lincoln 910, which I actually recently bought. So that was kind of a fun little round trip
full
story.
cycle. Yeah.
But and then I did I saw early on what Craig Robbins was doing Design District. Really, I saw it. I saw the location. I thought it made a lot of sense, and so I kind of tried to, what Joe likes to say, I'd like to be a fast second, not necessarily the first. So we kind of went in there and started to aggregate like the next block next to where Craig was basically doing his phase one. And we assembled almost the whole block. And then, I spent almost a year or two kind of putting that all together. And then pretty much as we were finishing some of the pieces of the puzzle, we ended up getting a crazy offer from Red Sky at the time. And we ended up just selling the whole portfolio to them at a really good profit over for a year and a half hold. So exited that quickly, and then I also assembled a few properties in Wynwood for Joe. So I was also early kind of investing in Wynwood back in like 2012, and that was also a pretty fun kind of area to be involved in.
Cowboy days.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
And when did you come back to Miami? Because you were doing all this from New York, or were you in Miami at the time?
No, I was doing it all. I was back and forth a lot, and then I guess in 2015, I moved down with Thor. I was like, look, I'm always down here focusing on Florida. So I moved down with Thor. It was basically me. I had like my own satellite office and still kind of using the team in New York. And I think I stayed with Thor for another year and then decided it was just time to do my own thing. But yeah, but going back a second, I mean, not only was I doing Florida, but I still remember, right, my first day at Thor, so I'm still pretty green and Joe is kind of everywhere. I have a box on my desk with a deal. And they're like, all right, start underwriting this deal. So I open it up. The property's in London.
What kind of property is it?
It was called the Burlington Arcade. It's like this historic arcade, retail arcade. It's an incredible property, like down like in the middle of like Mayfair. And I was like a deer in headlights. I was like, it was my first deal. It's in a country I've never done anything in. You had to learn the laws, from the lease laws to transactional laws to tax laws and how to structure it. And I mean, it was a challenge, but we got it done, and that was a fun first one. And then I ended up having to do another deal in Europe in Caen, in the south of France, and this one was a high street retail right on the Croisette, which is like fronting the ocean. It was like Yves Saint Laurent, Jimmy Choo, Burberry, like those types of tenants. But the deal kind of came, and we're working on it, and I was getting married, so this is 2012. I'm down in Casa de Campo for my wedding, and we were kind of. We bid on the deal. I'm kind of there now getting married, and I get a call probably like 24 hours before my wedding. And Joe's like, you got to go to Europe to meet with the seller and get this deal locked up. Like, we can't lose this deal. We got to go get it done. I'm like, Joe, I'm getting married tomorrow. He's like, all right, well, can you be on a plane on Monday? And I was like, yes. So I then go to my soon-to-be wife, and I'm like, honey, listen, I have to go to the south of France the day after our wedding.
All right, I'm hesitant to even share this next sponsor because honestly, it's going to make our competition even tougher. This is some real insider intel.
Yeah, if you're in commercial real estate and still buried in spreadsheets and busy work, listen up, because CRE Task Wizard is about to change your life. It changed ours.
This isn't some generic virtual assistant service. CRE Task Wizard was founded by former brokers Elijah and Kevin, so they actually get what brokers need.
Which is less admin, more deal making. Your teams handle research, data entry, listing management, lease abstracts, basically all the annoying stuff that eats up your day and nobody likes to do.
Imagine not having to update listings, dig through lease terms ever again. Even cold calling, you can focus on closing deals. They handle the rest.
And the best part, it's efficient, affordable, and built specifically for CRE brokers.
Want to reclaim your time and make more money? Go to CRETaskWizard.com and let the wizard work its magic.
Oh, yeah.
She's like, you kidding me? I'm like, no.
Was she like, am I coming with you? Am I going with you?
I was like, it was almost like I took a mini honeymoon by myself right after the wedding. I'm like literally in the south of France.
You should have been like, you're coming with me.
But yeah, but that's why I did. My wife was a keeper. She's understanding. I mean, obviously, she understands what I'm trying to do. But yeah, she was actually very understanding of the situation. But I was basically on a plane right after we got married and going to south of France to get a deal done, and we got it done.
I was gonna say you got to get it done then.
Yeah.
That's sick. How was it hard navigating like European law or anything? Or
Oh
what?
yeah, it was
Because you got to learn a whole new set of.
France might be London was actually a walk in the park compared to France. I would not the French laws are very socialist. So like if you have a retail tenant, this is crazy. Like this is gonna blow your mind. But if you're a retail tenant and you have a lease and your lease expires, you don't have options, but your lease is done. Right here, you're out. Right, or the landlord could choose to renew you if he wants and at whatever rent he wants. That's capitalism. Over there, the tenant still has a legal right to stay in the space. So even though their lease is done, if you want them to leave, you have to buy them out. They literally can hold you up. And basically, if you go to arbitration with the law there, they will require you to pay them costs for like opportunity costs, relocation. Even though they have no rights to the space, you still have to like basically compensate them to leave.
So there's no incentive to leave at all.
No, so it's kind of a really kind of crazy and scary.
So you'd rather be a tenant than an
environment.
owner, really.
Yeah, tenants have way more rights there than makes sense to me. But anyways,
I'll just go start squatting on buildings in France. Like, come on.
Yeah, it was an interesting learning experience for sure. Yeah.
Should we take a break and try one of those hot sauces?
Yeah. What's next?
I picked the first one. You're up.
I'm gonna go with this pineapple guava.
Let's hit it.
All right.
Well, let's chew in these people's ears.
So let me give a plug though on that because I got these hot sauces yesterday. There is a hot sauce store in South Miami on Sunset. And it's a little store, and that hot sauce that you're trying is actually their company. It's their kind of flagship hot sauce. Yeah, but it's a little hot sauce store. It's on Sunset. It's called DBH. I don't remember what that stands for, but it's DBH. And it's a great little store. So I definitely encourage people to go and support. I know they're a small business, and I had a nice chat with the lady, and she's telling me they're doing okay, but obviously would love it to be busier. So if anyone's curious in trying some of these hot sauces, go over there.
Really yummy.
Oh yeah, that's good. Tangy,
Yeah.
a little spicy, a little sweet, a little tangy. I like that.
Very Miami. Guava. I love it. That's excellent.
Yeah, that is a good one. I like that one.
I feel like I'm becoming a hot sauce som with this experience here.
These are great. I love trying these things. So then, so you get married, you're in France, you come back, and then what? When do you start, your business?
So I guess I launched Tricera in 2017.
Okay.
And
you got married when?
in 2012.
Oh, okay. So you were with Tricera you got married right when you started with Thor.
No, I started Thor in 10 and I left at the end of 16. So I was there about 7 years.
Okay. Oh, wow. You were there that long. Okay. I thought you were only there for 5 years. All right. And then, so you started Tricera, and who'd you start the business with?
Yeah, so it was me and my partner at the time, Ben Mandel. We launched Tricera, and
Where'd you guys meet?
he was a broker at RKF. So he was doing a lot of retail leasing down here, and also he was bird dogging deals for like Red Sky at the time, which is kind of how that all kind of came together. Red Sky when I was
Red Sky is no longer, right?
correct.
They got a little over their skis, huh?
Yeah, I think they bought the right real estate, but maybe not the right price at the right time, and unfortunately, but they're no longer around.
Is RKF Renan Katz?
No, RKF was Robert Futterman. They were
Okay.
actually then acquired by Newmark.
Got it.
So RKF doesn't exist as RKF anymore.
Got it. So you guys decided to go out on your own. What was the impetus for that? You're like, it's ready to make your own mark, do your own thing.
Yeah, it was, and we had a good run. We built Tricera, same, urban retail, mixed use, emerging neighborhoods, and bought. I think we built a pretty big portfolio, probably about $500 million of real estate over about a 5-year run.
What were you guys buying? What locations?
We We aggregated a lot actually in St. Pete. So we were early in St. Pete buying up in like, it's 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020. We were buying a lot in St. Pete, which has really exploded. We just kind of saw that, what was happening there. And
What drew you guys to St. Pete?
so went over there because I got a call about a deal. And I was like, let's just go over and take a look at it. And we did. And we, at the time, were like, I don't like this deal, but while we're here, let's go drive around and see what else is going on in St. Pete. And we started driving down like the main street, which is called Central Avenue.
Because it's really cool.
Yeah. And,
Downtown St. Pete is really awesome.
and I just saw Central Avenue, and it's got this natural kind of spine with like the retail storefronts, wide sidewalks, parking. It's one of the better urban planned kind of cities. And I forget the name of the guy. He's a legendary, famous city planner. And like this was like almost like a textbook of like example of what he did, and he did it well. And he saw this, well beyond when most people did. So it just has this natural kind of 20, 30 block kind of street of just good retail, contiguous, and
It's that big, 20, 30 blocks?
I mean, it goes all the way from the bay pretty far back. And so what we noticed walking it was it's got a cool vibe, but it was all like kind of mom and pop local stores. A lot of, you could tell it's like old owners who just milk it. They haven't really invested in their storefronts and their spaces. We're like very tired. But what we noticed is there was no vacant storefronts. Everything was full. And I was just like, there's something here. So we started trying to just, cold call owners and started shaking some trees loose and ended up aggregating about 12 buildings. And
Who was cold calling the owners?
we were doing it a little bit directly, and then we had we found a couple local brokers. One guy in particular, this guy Johnny Labuddy. He's a character. We call him like the unofficial mayor of St. Pete, and he really helped us. I think early on, he knew everyone. So it was like we'd just go down the street and be like, "I want to buy that bill." He'd be like, "Hey Bob, how you doing?" Like it was just like he knew everyone. So he was really helpful, I think, in getting us in front of a lot of owners. And because all this stuff was really off market. It was more, let's identify buildings and try to buy them, and not. It's not like there's a lot of brokers selling buildings on the street at the time. And we were able to aggregate. And now every time I go back, I kick myself because there's probably 20 buildings that we looked at that we thought at the time were too expensive, and we passed on and should have bought them all. I mean, that city's on fire.
That's real. That's anybody in real estate.
I know.
That's everything. So how many buildings did you buy in St. Pete?
I think we bought about 12 properties in St. Pete. Yeah.
Mostly all retail.
Yeah, retail. We actually have we bought some land too.
Okay.
That was that we actually did with Joe first.
Oh, cool.
And kind of went through a whole rezoning over there.
How did you and Joe get connected?
I mean, I got to know Joe through like when I was at Thor, and I started to buy up stuff in Wynwood. And Joe was like he was like the mayor of Wynwood back then.
Yeah, for sure.
So we became friendly through that.
Cool.
And what was your strategy on the retail in St. Pete? Were you buying it and then improving it and re-tenanting it, or?
Yeah, it was like, the first building we bought, right, is a good example. It had like a dive bar, a biker bar, it had like an old school record shop, and then there was like a construction company office in the retail. And the awning was looked like it was falling over. Like I was like afraid to walk under it because it looked like it might fall on your head. And at night you would intentionally cross the other side of the street unless you were like a biker, because it was like, you didn't feel safe walking over there. That was the 600 block. Now today, that's probably the most vibrant block in downtown St. Pete. So I mean, we literally did the whole facade. We replaced the awning. We put lighting up so it was not dark on that side of the road. And then, we all those tenants are now gone. So actually, the first thing we did, we kicked out the biker bar. Their lease was actually, I don't know if it was expired or in default, whatever it was. We basically, like the day we closed, they were gone.
No French laws over here.
Yeah, but there's these are America laws, right? So basically, the day we closed and kicked them out, everyone, all the local like customers were like, "Who the fuck are these?" So it's part of my language. I know we're on here. But
No,
who are these
encourage
guys?
cursing.
All right.
We encourage cursing.
Who are these guys who just came in and kicked them out? We started getting death threats.
I was gonna say some Molotov cocktails start coming at you.
We started getting some death threats. So
Like people were calling you on the phone, or how were these death threats coming through?
like I don't remember, but I think we got a couple of emails or messages, but it was posted somewhere. But like,
Yeah.
it was like,
They wanted their biker bar back.
It got gnarly for a second.
but like, but at the same time, then a lot of other people are like, "Thank you so much for getting rid of this like thing," right? So, anyways, obviously, no one acted on that. I'm here, but but now that block is thriving. We got some great local restaurants. We've got that Rocket Fizz, the candy store concept in there, Maple Street Biscuit Company. So that one turned out to get,
You still have an ownership in these properties?
Yeah. So I've actually still own all this stuff in St. Pete.
Oh, nice.
That's awesome.
Ben, you and I are all about PropTech. And if there's one tool we absolutely cannot live without for a commercial real estate brokerage business at Gridline Properties, it's Vista.
Absolutely. Vista is incredible. We use it every single day. And we're always wondering, how do they do this? Every evening we get an email from them with real-time closed transactions. No more waiting around for months for the property appraiser to finally update.
Yeah, whether you're doing industrial, retail, office, land deals, they have every closed transactions. And it's not just the speed, Ben. The details are on point. Seller and buyer info, contact details, phone numbers, emails, everything is accurate.
It's hands down our top prospecting tool to farm for warehouse deals in Hialeah. Vista keeps us one step ahead always. It's also the best way to search for comps when putting together opinions of values for clients.
Head on over to Vista.com and use code BuiltWorld and get 30 days free access today. VIZZDA.com.
I want to go back a little bit to when you first started Thor. How did you go about doing that? I mean, that's a big jump from salary position to now you had to go raise money, I'm guessing, for equity.
Tricera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm saying when he was at Thor, he was salary. And to make the jump to raising money for a private equity company, it's not an easy thing to do. So what was that like? What would you...
Yeah, I'd say it's definitely it was definitely a risky, scary kind of thing, right? Because, a lot of people at the time were like, you're crazy. You've got an amazing seat. You're making good money. Like, how could you leave that seat? And I'm like, I was in a great seat and, Joe treated me well. Everything was great. I just internally, I knew like, I'd say I didn't feel fulfilled, I knew inside I needed to give it a try and try to do my own. And at that point I had a 1-year-old, I guess maybe a 1-year-old, 2-year-old, maybe it was around 1 or 2. So I had one kid, married. And I just knew that like the longer you wait, the harder it gets because you're going to have more obligations, more burdens, more family things. And so it was like, I feel like I just got to try. I was 32. I was like, if I try now and I fail, I could always get another job and I'll be okay. And, we had saved enough money to give us some runway to do it. But, yeah, I mean, it was just, there's no, I always say there's no perfect time. It's like, you're not trying to time the market to come in at this time or this. It's just like, if you're ready and you feel like you've got the tools to succeed, you got to go.
So what did you do? You had a business plan and then you went out to former colleagues and friends and family, like, here's what I'm going to do. I need a commitment for X money, or what was that money raising process like?
Yeah, we first thing you do is find the deal, tie it up, and then start calling and.
So you were on a deal by deal basis.
Yeah, deal by deal, right?
So you'd use your own money as earnest money, tie it up, and be like, here's what it is. I need X for this deal, and then
exactly, and just try to dial for dollars and put them together.
And then you just did that deal by deal by deal. Damn, it's a grind.
It was a grind.
And each deal is like a send. You're like, I'm going to send it and hope this works. Hope whatever 30, 60, 90, 120 days is enough to raise this money and put the partnership docs together. And
by the way, I still do it that way. Obviously at a different scale, but yeah, we still go deal by deal. I've never gone
the fund route.
The fund route, exactly.
Why not? Is there disadvantages to going the fund route, or?
Listen, I always say the grass is always greener. I probably at least once a year start thinking really heavily about going the fund route. We've even at one time, with Torose, we were kind of launching. We thought really hard about launching as a fund. We actually even spent money on putting fund docs together. We were like really ready to go, and then I just push the pause button. So, the benefits, you have powder ready to go. So you can be a little, we're active guys, we're deal guys, we want to move, and so you can kind of move faster, maybe scale quicker. But at the same time, it's, your deals are crossed. You got to go out and do the raise. There's a lot more reporting and administrative stuff involved with the fund. And it also, like, a fund kind of puts you in a box because you're going to have these parameters around how you're going to invest that capital. And I'm just a little bit more kind of nimble where, I might see an interesting covered land play today, but tomorrow it's office. And then, the next day it's retail, right? So I like to be more opportunistic in kind of how I, move with the markets and where I see opportunities. And so I saw the fund as potentially hindering that. And so we just decided not to go that route. So, we've been fortunately successful in raising capital for the deals that we tie up. But it's still a grind. I mean, especially, I've been buying office over the last 3 years, it's like trying to sell ice in winter and trying to convince someone to invest in an office building. So it's not easy.
But at least now you have the track record to lean on. That's helpful.
Exactly.
Yeah. But early on that you didn't have that. And it's a hard thing to do. That's a lot of scraping to get money together for a deal. And what kind of those early retail deals, what do the economics on that look like? Are you targeting like a certain IRR thing? Because you still own them. Was there like a hold period you were targeting, or was it just open-ended?
Yeah. So, the first, I guess, handful of deals or so we bought in St. Pete, what ended up happening is we were trying to raise money for the first deal. And we were talking to Joe first about it, actually. And he was still with Goldman Properties at the time. And he kind of like got it. He was like, this has a lot of similar kind of characteristics to what happened in Wynwood. So we ended up sitting down with Scott Srebnick and Jessica Goldman and kind of talking about it. And so they were like, you know what, we kind of see your play. Can we get involved in this? So they kind of came into that deal, and they actually helped give us a little bit of credibility on those first deals. And we actually raised a small little venture called a pool of capital to basically go buy 5, 6, 7 buildings in downtown. So, and they were a big anchor of that. And so they kind of really helped us kind of.
How much capital did you raise?
It was, I think it was small. I think it was like a $7 million, venture raise. So, because those buildings were, a few $1,000,000 each. But that was the first little kind of venture.
That gives you some negotiating leverage too with the sellers to be like, look who we are.
Right. So, yeah.
And then that was Tricera, and how long did Tricera last?
Till I guess 22. So about 5 years. Okay. Yeah.
And then you went with Torose.
Yeah, then I just separated from my former partner. I still retained my ownership in all the Tricera stuff. So it's like a divorce with kids. Still kept joint custody of the kids in a way.
You get them on the weekends.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then pretty much focus more on kind of building a new platform. But took basically the investment team, my guys from Tricera all came with me. So all the guys at Torose have been with me. Ari, my CFO, has been with me since he was my first hire at Tricera. He was with me in day one. So, we've been together almost 9 years now. Yeah.
So you have a team, but you guys go out and do deal by deal.
Yeah.
Got it. And you mentioned, you touched on this, but the mandate's the same as with Tricera, more or less?
Yeah. Really retail office mixed use. We call it the Southeast U.S. It's mostly Florida just because it's probably one of the best states to be investing right now. But we've done some stuff in Atlanta, Nashville, but mostly Florida.
And you said you're doing a lot of office stuff these days?
Yeah.
What are you seeing in office? You see a lot of upside there?
Yeah, I mean, look, I've always been a little bit more contrarian how I like to look at things. And so, I was leaning in heavy on retail, when everyone thought retail was going online and dying. And I kind of saw the same thing kind of coming out of COVID. So I just felt like people are going to go back to the office. It was hard to see in 2020, but it never made sense that it's going to be work from home is going to be a permanent thing.
It's so funny how quick people are to say this is forever. Like I remember people saying we're never shaking hands again, or like we're never going back. No, New York is dead. It's just like, guys, like
I'm never going to go to a movie theater. Like
come on.
Exactly. So it's just and think about it, that was only 5 years ago. It wasn't even that. When you look back, it wasn't that long ago.
It's crazy.
But that I was just always like, this doesn't make sense. And markets where we saw like momentum, population migration, like Florida, it just made sense. Companies are going to come, they're going to need space. And so, we started leaning in on office.
So where you been buying office?
We bought a couple buildings in the Gables. We just bought a building in the Grove. We have an office building in Tampa that we're actually maybe selling.
Are these Highline, Main Street offices, or is it more suburban stuff?
So, like the Gables, we have 2 buildings on Alhambra. Those are we're partners with Alex Karakanian and with Steve Battel, Terra Nova, and those are right on Alhambra. Great address. The one in the Grove that we just got is the Amal building right on Main Highway. So that's prime. So I'd say we're looking at mostly more like well located. But then we bought this one in Tampa that's more kind of outside of the core. It was a good cash flowing deal, but it was really a covered land play. It's sitting on 50 acres of land. So we're kind of looking at 2 different kind of profiles, right? Like great kind of located assets in good markets. And then we're looking at some where it's like, well, maybe there's some other angle, like developing the surface parking or something like that,
We got a little office deal we should talk offline.
Yeah, we do.
Okay. I'd love to hear it.
Yeah.
Are you looking at any other asset classes, or like, is there any other theses that you're looking at?
I want to talk about your office thesis. Give us a little macro on the office thesis.
So I mean, so our thesis right now is like I want to buy well-located office in good markets, but where today you can buy well below replacement cost with cash flow. So it's like, okay, I mean, you're looking at office buildings, they're trading for, I'd say between 8 to 12 caps. So you can buy really good cash flow because there's no capital chasing them, right? And I think that's just starting to shift. But like last year, there was no bids, right? So if someone needed to sell, you basically can clear it at a really good basis. And so I think there's a real opportunity there if you're buying the right stuff. Now, if you're buying commodity suburban office where there's 50 buildings just like it, or not even 50, there's 5 buildings just like in the same pocket and they're all 50% occupied, that's a scary game because now you're playing you win by losing. You're basically whoever does the worst deal gets the tenant. So like, that's not the office we want to buy. We want to buy stuff that we know is relevant. There's demand, there's growing, like Coral Gables, right? We started buying Coral Gables because we saw Brickell rents at the time, this is a couple of years ago, were going up to $100 a foot. And I looked at the Gables and the Gables rents were still the same. They were like high 40s, $50, and they didn't really move. So it was like, okay, now all of a sudden we looked at the stats. It was like the Gables office market was usually about a 15 to 20% discount to Brickell. It was now a 50% discount. So it was like, this makes no sense. And it just seemed like there's going to be a lot of renewals coming up in Brickell. These people are going to be like, I don't want to pay $100 a foot. They most likely, those decision makers live in the Gables or in the Grove or, somewhere like that, Pinecrest even. So like the Gables made sense, right? So cheaper option, still a good market, and it's closer to it's a shorter commute for them. So, we kind of saw that playing out and it has. I mean, rents have moved in the Gables. And so I think we're going to do well with those acquisitions we did. And so, it's really, it's cash flow, good locations, and, below replacement cost is really.
And just in general, the trend of work from home, that seems like people will continue working from home, but not as often. And companies probably want their employees back in and collaborating in the office at least a few times a week.
I mean, more than a few times a week I'm here. I mean, most of these companies now, I mean, I don't know if you heard that Jamie Dimon recording from a couple
that was
weeks ago.
amazing.
It was awesome.
I love that.
But, these companies want people back in the office. And like, maybe you have flexible Fridays. So it's like you're in 4 days a week Fridays. But like, even if you're in the office 4 days a week, you still need your office space, right? Even 3 days a week, you probably do. So like, I think that office is really kind of, I say regressing, but, reverting back to, kind of, prior needs. And now people might be reimagining or designing the office space. Maybe offices are more hoteling type offices. So you don't have like your own specific desk, but I think, maybe how people use their spaces is going to evolve, but there's still going to be a strong need. And people, I talked to a friend yesterday, and he's a lawyer, but he's working, he's like in-house lawyer for like a big company. And he was telling me that they're requiring not only being back to the office 5 days a week, but they're monitoring all bad scans in and out. And they're requiring 9 hours a day in the office, 5 days a week. So like, I think that's actually going to kill the culture there. And I think that's actually probably too extreme.
It's a bit aggressive.
But like, that's how far companies are going now. I was mind blown when he told me that.
They're like, we're sick of this shit. Get back to work.
And listen, the reality is like, unemployment was at an all-time low. And so, employees sort of had a little, more wiggle room there. Like
they had some negotiating power.
Yeah, and we're just a recession away from everyone coming back into the office, right? Like, and so
I think we're there.
Yeah, I think we're getting close to there. I mean, hopefully not, but I mean, if unemployment does tick up, the power is going to be back to the employers rather than the employees, and any business that is expected to compete, like you need your employees in the office. Like to get shit done, you have to be together. There's so much that's said over the water cooler, going to the bathroom, like just those like little exchanges of communication. Like there's so much value there that people don't seem to understand, but it's so powerful, and that can only happen in person.
What's going on, Builties? Ben and Felipe here. Wanted to cut in and tell you guys what we're working on. Believe it or not, podcasting is not our full-time gig. We're commercial brokers here at Gridline Properties, focused on industrial. And we've really identified the submarkets of East Hialeah, Opelika, and Golden Glades.
Yeah, we're big believers in those areas.
The industrial warehouse space has grown tremendously in the last few years, particularly out west. The developers have been building product in the 100,000 square foot range. These areas, particularly Opelika, East Hialeah, and Golden Glades, have smaller warehouses, and we think those are going to do extremely well in the next 10, 20, 30 years. There's always going to be a need for small businesses and smaller spaces close to the urban cores, so we're extremely laser focused on these areas. So if you have a warehouse in the area or looking to buy or lease, or if we can help you lease or sell your property, reach out to us.
Yeah, we're just seeing a lot of value in that area. Everyone's getting priced out of Doral, getting priced out of Little River and Wynwood, and Hialeah is kind of the last frontier. And it's a wild west out there. So come on for a ride with us. Hit us up.
I agree. Collaboration culture. I'm a big fan of face-to-face in person meetings for everything. So, Zoom doesn't replace that. Just doesn't.
That's why we do this in person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We refuse to do a podcast over Zoom.
Sure. It wouldn't be the same.
It wouldn't be the same.
No.
And starting a business and working in a business remotely is not the same as being in the office together.
Yeah, like my team, there's 5 of us now, and we're in an office. We're all yelling through the doors, and it's just
you're checking badges, making sure they're in there 9 hours a week, 9 hours a day.
Yeah. I mean, look, my guys work, but they work when they can.
Yeah.
What do I mean by that? I mean we're a pretty flexible shop. And again, all my guys have been doing it a long time, so we have everyone knows what they're doing, and I trust everyone's gonna get what
they're hungry.
What they're done. But if someone needs to deal with their kid going to take the day,
they'll make it up at night or on the weekend. If they have that discipline.
No one's as long as you're not dropping the ball.
Yeah.
I don't care when you put the hours in. Right?
Yeah.
If you want to work at 2 a.m. to kind of get a memo done, go for it. Right?
Yeah.
So Aaron, who works with me, Aaron K, he's great. He's director of acquisitions for us. He's now found a new lady friend up in New York, so he's been wanting to go up and visit her a little bit. Yeah, so he's been doing a little bit of working from New York, but I think he's in love, so it's good.
So you'll allow it this time.
Puppy love.
Let's get into this. Let's quit pussyfooting around. I'm gonna go after this extreme guy here.
Oh, you want to go right for it? Okay.
Oh boy,
I think it's time.
Okay.
He keeps looking at me. The spicy shark. It's extreme heat. I see.
Did you like
6 shark fins?
Give it a shake, man. Give it a shake. You got to shake that up. Yeah.
Okay.
Did you like my email yesterday, by the way?
I loved it. I told you I'm not scared.
And so, what neighborhoods do you like now in Florida? It seems like you're still looking at St. Pete, Tampa, Miami. Anything else look interesting to you?
I'd say Florida right now. I'd say Palm Beach, Fort Lauderdale, Miami. So kind of that whole
Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah, that kind of East Coast.
When you just said you bought something in Dania Beach too.
Well, we didn't just buy. We've had it for a while. That was actually a deal from the Tricera days that we still have.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so Palm Beach to Miami, and then on the West Coast, really Tampa, St. Pete, all the way down to Naples. We're doing a project in Bonita Springs right now.
Bonita Springs is cool. The little downtown is really interesting, right?
Yeah, Bonita Springs is great. So we've been, that whole West Coast, I find, a lot of growth, and so a lot of opportunity over there too.
Yeah, I went to a soccer tournament, and we went to downtown Bonita Springs. I love that little main street.
Yeah,
it's very cool.
You didn't go to the Great Wolf Lodge, that little field over there in Naples?
Ooh, that one gets the lips tingling.
What was it called?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There's this place called the Great Wolf Lodge that just opened recently in Naples. And there's this huge sports complex next to it, and for football, soccer, and all these things. So
I think I went to that field.
Yeah.
Is the Great Wolf Lodge like an indoor water park thing?
Oh my God. So we took our kids there. It's
I'm from Minnesota. You have those up there, in Wisconsin and
this
stuff.
one just opened like 6 months ago, and it's like an indoor water park adventure thing, whatever. Yep. It was fun, but it was, it's an easy little trip if you got little kids. All right, let's do it. I haven't done this one yet.
Wow, that's spicy.
Oh, look at your lips tingling. Are you feeling good? It kicks in after too. Woo!
What is it? The spicy shark? Holy Jesus.
This is the hottest one I think I brought.
Six fin, baby. I love it.
Dang.
It's actually got a good flavor too.
So the number one ingredient on this is, for everyone listening, is scorpion pepper.
Dang.
Ooh, that sounds
nasty.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. It's got Carolina Reaper in it too.
Nice.
It's got a little
scorpion.
habanero. Yeah,
excellent.
This has got the real stuff.
That's the not fucking around sauce.
Yeah. So
I'll kick you in the teeth.
All right, we went right for number 10. So I like it. I respect that.
I like it. That's good. It's interesting what you're saying about office. Are you seeing that anywhere else in real estate? Because I think the thing with the markets that a lot of people have been complaining about is with interest rates so high for risk-adjusted returns, real estate's been pretty static in the last 24 months. No one's really, development deals are not happening. Industrials slowed down quite a bit. I'm starting to see what you're seeing in office and hospitality, specifically in Miami Beach. The same things are happening where interest rates have come up, insurance rates have come up, RevPAR's come down since 2022. Guys are getting squeezed out. So I don't know if you're seeing that too or anything else.
Yeah, look, I mean, multi and industrial really never made sense to me just because I feel like those specific kind of trades, and a lot of capital loves industrial and multi, so maybe I'm the fool, but I never got it, right? They're trading at such tight cap rates, and that spread with the debt and cap rates, there's like nothing. And as soon as interest rates move a little bit, a lot of people get
squeezed
wiped,
out,
right?
yeah.
And so even today, right, you're seeing industrial cap rates really low. So obviously there's demand, and maybe there's a trend there that I'm just not smart enough to understand. But just to me, right, if you're buying a 10 cap office building, a good city where the tenants aren't leaving, you're not having a major hole exposure, and you can finance this thing at an accretive level with that 7-8%, maybe even lower, maybe a little higher, but at least you have positive leverage and you got real cash flow. So to me, that's more interesting. But again, everyone's kind of got their own,
flavor.
Philosophies. Yeah,
Totally.
exactly.
Flip it. If you wipe enough, it's not going to come off your lips, dude.
Damn.
He's sweating over here.
So
That's spicy.
So by the way, what the email I alluded to, I told these guys to bring a glass of milk.
Yeah. Well, we don't have milk, but we have a little yogurt over here, which I'm
there
going
you
to have
go.
to crack open.
Is that from you? You brought that?
Yeah, well, I just got it over here at
That's
the bureau fridge.
You were like, I
Yeah.
need to strap up for
Yeah,
this.
exactly.
We heard that you're involved in a project or an organization called Covenant House. Tell us about that, and tell us about the annual sleep out.
Yeah. So thanks for reminding me, because I'm definitely going to make sure you guys get involved next year.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So it's well, first, the Covenant House is a great organization. It really is the sole purpose is to really help kind of like homeless or kind of disenfranchised youth, help them if they're in an abusive household, maybe their family is homeless, or there's families, their parents are drug addicts, and it's just a bad environment. This gives them a place to go, and not only shelter, not only a place to live, but it really is designed to give them, maybe they're having issues too. So there's counseling, there's drug treatment there if they need it. There actually, if you're a young mother, there's also parental help there and counseling. And then more importantly, I think they also are helping everyone finish school or get their GED and learn life skills and how to get a job. And so the whole real model for the Covenant House is to get these kids who most of them were just dealt a bad hand in life. These aren't bad kids. They're not like taking the kids from juvenile. They're taking kids who come to them because they're like, I need help, I don't know where to go, and help them get on their feet, get a job, become self-sustaining citizens. And then they even have a transitionary program where they have apartments throughout South Florida that they own or rent, and then they'll rent them to the kids and basically collect the rent from them. And then what they'll do is, once they kind of do that for a year and show that they can keep a job and they're sustainable, then they can go out and get their own apartment somewhere. And what the Covenant House actually does is they keep that money in a savings account. So then when they go to actually get their real lease, they give them that money back as their security deposit for their lease.
Oh, wow. That's
so it's
super
really
cool.
the whole goal is really take these kids and give them a chance in life. And so I think it's an incredible organization. And
How did you get involved with them?
actually, when I was up in New York, a couple of friends of mine were I guess one of them was involved, and they heard about this executive sleep out, and they're like, Scott, come on, we're gonna go sleep out on the street for the Covenant House. I'm like, what the hell is this, And then I was like, I'll do it. So it was like 5 of us that did it this first time, and we had to raise some money. I think we each raised like $1,000 or donated $1,000, and we went for the night. And this is New York City. It was on like 49th and maybe like 9th Avenue. And we were sleeping in a concrete parking lot outside of the Covenant House. Well, the first half of the night, it's programming. So you're learning about it. You're actually interacting. They have breakout sessions where you interact with the kids that are there. And so like you're hearing
the kids that are there, like sleeping on the street,
like housing there. Yeah. So like, it's like, and they're very open. They're like, thank you for coming. We really appreciate your support. Like, and because they understand this is like, this place is saving their lives effectively. And they're telling us their stories. And like, honestly, like I was like in tears hearing some of these kids. And like, it's just like, we we were all fortunate. We didn't grow up in that situation, but like these kids were just dealt a bad hand in life. They didn't do anything wrong and they just need a chance. And so it really just had an impact on me. And so we did it the first year. We go to sleep out. It was November. It was snowing out and they were doing street work right outside. So there was jackhammering all night. So my first night I'm in snow with jackhammering.
Let me ask you a question. What are you sleeping on? You're just sleeping on like...
So they give you a sleeping bag and a cardboard box when you go outside.
Cardboard box.
So cardboard box to kind of pad the bottom, the ground, and a sleeping bag. And you go outside for the night. And that you're experiencing homelessness. But like we were in snow, jackhammering, it was rough.
You got the full experience.
The full
Absolutely.
experience, but it really resonated. And
Yeah.
and then I actually went back and did it again the next year. And
you loved the jackhammer and sleeping on cement so much you had to go get it for seconds, huh?
Exactly. But then what happened was the guys I was with, they're all real estate guys in different funds in New York and whatever. And we were like, let's try to create like a real estate group and do a real estate sleep out. So by like the third year, we kind of created our own real estate executive sleep out in New York. I think we had probably 40 or 50 guys come. We raised over $250,000.
Damn.
And it kind of mushroomed. And then when I moved back to Miami, there was a covenant house in Fort Lauderdale. So I reached out and said, hey, I'd like to help get involved here. We do this real estate sleep out in New York. I'd like to do it down here. So this was back in 2015, 2016. I actually started, I did a real estate executive sleep out and tried to organize it. And we got 20, 30 people and we raised some money and we did it for a few years. Then COVID hit and it kind of fizzled. But I guess in that window, after the second or third year, they asked me to join the board. So I actually then joined the board of the covenant house in Fort Lauderdale and still am a board member. And then when COVID happened, it fizzled out. And then this year, we brought it back. And so a friend of mine, Arvin Chari, Atlas Real Estate Partners, he was one of the guys that we did it the first time together in New York. And so when he recently was a COVID move back to Miami. And so we decided, let's really try to bring it back this year. And so we did. And we actually did it in tandem with our friends from New York. So we did a New York, Florida, like concurrent real estate sleep out this year. We got a great turnout, raised, I think, collectively, over $300,000. And so I think next year we're going to try to make it even bigger. So love to have you guys support it.
We'll get out there. Where are we sleeping?
So the Covenant House right now is actually in Fort Lauderdale, on Fort Lauderdale Beach. Like literally, it's like their real estate's incredible. And actually, as a board member, I'm in charge now. We're actually in the process of selling the current site because it's a condo development all day long. And we're also
are you developing that site?
Well, no. We're in contract to sell it to someone that you guys will know. And then we're in the process of also trying to buy a new site further out into like West Broward, where really they should be more centrally located. And we're working through that now. We have a site. We're going through the zoning, and it's been a nightmare from a zoning perspective because it's sad, but all the local residents, they hear the Covenant House wants to come and they think there's going to be this homeless shelter with crime and homeless people all over the streets, and that's not what it is.
The NIMBYs come out.
But unfortunately, there's a lot of misinformation going on right now, and it's making the process very challenging. But we're gonna figure it out.
So where'd you guys sleep in Fort Lauderdale? Right there.
So you sleep in the lot right next to the Covenant House, so you're right there.
Dang.
It's basically Fort Lauderdale Beach.
What a great organization! What a great idea! Get you to experience that.
Yeah, it's good to try to find a little time to give back, and this one has just kind of resonated with me, so it's been great.
Well, and sleeping outside specifically makes you just really connect with what they're going through in a different level.
Exactly.
That's cool. It's very cool. Well, Scott, this has been a blast, man. Thank you for the wings. Thank you for the hot sauces, and the story was incredible. So really enjoyed it.
We'd love to get involved with the Covenant House. It would be great if we could do the same thing down here with some real estate people.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna take you guys up on that, and we're trying to come up with some better or creative ideas to get more Miami people involved. So stay tuned for that.
All right, cool. Let us know how we can help. Anything you're working on? Any haves, needs, or wants that people can reach out to you for if you're looking for something? Let us know now, please.
No, I appreciate it. I mean, look, we're active. I feel like we're finally playing more offense again.
Yeah.
And it feels like this year we're starting to get some more opportunities. We just bought that office building in the Grove. But I guess one last thing I'll just say is we're still also equally interested and excited about retail. We haven't been buying as much lately just because we're seeing more value in office, but we're still actively looking at retail as well. So, keep us in mind for that as well.
All right. Awesome, Scott. Thanks.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Cheers.
Right. Cheers.